When Lexie Hall finally spoke up, it wasn't the whispers people expected. It was a full-on flood of intrigue, insight, and a few unexpected laughs. Caitlin Clark had barely settled into her new role with the Indiana Fever when Hall pulled back the curtain on the mystery of her influence. It wasn't so much a tell-all as a spellbinding tale of how one young star, seemingly overnight, could shift the tone and energy of an entire team with a little grit, a lot of charm, and some truly memorable quirks. For fans and critics alike, this revelation from Hall about Clark's presence on the team wasn't just informative, it was pure entertainment. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Clark had arrived with a reputation, a sharpshooter with precision, passion, and a hint of cockiness that somehow never came across as arrogance. This was her brand, her aura, and her secret weapon all wrapped into one. She was the kind of player who could launch a three-pointer from halfway across the court without batting an eye, and somehow, despite the audacity of it, you knew it was going in. That confidence was part of the spark she brought to the Fever. From the moment she walked into that locker room, her presence was a mix of challenge and invitation, urging her teammates to step up, sharpen their skills, and rethink their approach to the game. Hall painted a vivid picture of Clark's impact, but it wasn't all drills and strategies. Caitlin's influence had more to do with atmosphere and attitude than technical advice. She'd observe teammates, pick out little habits they'd barely noticed in themselves, and turn those moments into lessons. Sometimes they were delivered with a smirk, other times with that straight-faced intensity she wore on the court. According to Hall, Clark's greatest gift to the team might have been her ability to make them laugh at themselves, even in high-pressure moments. Her style was never about barking orders or laying down rules. She thrived on playful nudges and subtle encouragement, knowing her teammates would catch on. As Hall detailed these interactions, the portrait of Clark grew. Here was a player who didn't just want to win. She wanted to make the journey there unforgettable. Her influence was infectious, inspiring not by explicit direction, but by sheer magnetism. Lexie joked about how some players found themselves trying new shots in practice because they'd seen Caitlin do it, only to end up with a facepalm and a sheepish smile. There was something uniquely effective in Caitlin's approach. Hall described how she could turn even the most daunting game day moments into a shared inside joke, making the team's collective nerves feel more like butterflies and less like a brick wall. In her recounting, Hall highlighted that Clark wasn't all charisma and no hard work, though. Off-court, she was relentlessly dedicated to improving. There were stories of her sneaking in extra practice hours, almost secretively, and somehow slipping back to her dorm or the team bus with that same calm, cool demeanor. Hall couldn't help but laugh as she talked about how Caitlin would deny being at the gym, even when teammates had practically seen her there an hour prior. It was a running gag, this idea that Caitlin wanted her work ethic to be invisible, as if any praise she earned would be undeserved. That attitude, according to Hall, was both hilarious and humbling. Here was a star who took no shortcuts and still somehow made it look effortless. But beyond the gym and the labs, there was something more profound about Clark's influence. Hall explained that Caitlin brought a competitive edge that the Fever needed. She could get fierce, even during practice, pushing herself and others in a way that never felt forced but rather like a gravitational pull. If she missed a shot, she muttered to herself in ways that Hall found both funny and oddly inspiring. It was as if Clark had her own language, full of self-directed humor that also fueled her teammates to rise above their own mistakes. Her commitment to improving wasn't limited to her own stats. She wanted everyone around her to feel that same drive. One of Hall's most colorful anecdotes was about the team's post-game rituals. Apparently, Clark had introduced a quirky tradition, playing a specific playlist full of throwback hits that felt like a mix between a karaoke night and a motivation seminar. According to Hall, the first time the playlist blasted in the locker room, everyone froze, unsure whether to laugh, cringe, or join in. But then Caitlin started belting out lyrics like nobody was watching. Soon, everyone followed, and before they knew it, the whole team was howling, laughing, and performing their own offbeat dance moves. It became a routine that, bizarre as it seemed, actually brought the team closer together, easing the tension of high-stakes games and creating a bond that was stronger with every tune. Hall's descriptions offered insight into how Clark's influence wasn't about making the team better in some straightforward way. Instead, it was about making them more united, more willing to take risks, and more open to the idea that winning didn't always mean staying within the lines. Hall noticed that Caitlin encouraged everyone to think differently about how they approached challenges on the court. Rather than sticking to the usual playbook, Clark subtly instilled a mentality of innovation. This shift wasn't sudden or loud. It crept in through casual conversations, shared glances, and even in the silences after missed shots, where Clark's energy somehow reminded everyone that they'd get another chance. Hall shared that Clark's attitude was often most apparent during moments of adversity. Whenever the team faced an unexpected obstacle, whether it was an opponent's unbreakable defense or a series of fouls that seemed almost unfair, Clark would lean into her stubborn optimism. She'd find some way to make light of the situation without downplaying its importance, framing it as just another twist in the story they were creating together. Hall explained that Caitlin had an almost mythical ability to reframe these setbacks, turning what might have been seen as weaknesses into opportunities for growth. It wasn't motivational speak, it was just Caitlin's way of handling life. In the grand scheme, Clark's influence went beyond individual games or practices. Hall noted that Caitlin had a rare capacity to inspire by simply being herself, a player who was both deeply competitive and undeniably playful. The team didn't just see her as a leader. They saw her as a peer who understood their struggles and shared their goals. This approach created an environment where everyone felt both challenged and understood, fostering a sense of camaraderie that extended beyond the court. Hall also shared a story that summed up Clark's influence perfectly. After a particularly tough game, where tensions were high and spirits low, Caitlin pulled out her phone and started filming a mock documentary about the tragic life of a rookie player. She interviewed her teammates in exaggerated tones, poking fun at their exhaustion and dramatizing every answer with theatrical flair. By the end, what had started as a tense, quiet locker room had transformed into a group of players in stitches, sharing in the absurdity of their own struggles. That video, Hall said, became a cherished memory, a reminder of how Caitlin had the gift of making even the hardest losses feel lighter. As Hall revealed these stories, it became clear that Caitlin Clark's influence on the Fever wasn't just about her skill or her stats. It was about her spirit, her humor, and her knack for reminding everyone that basketball, while intense and demanding, was also a game meant to be enjoyed. Clark didn't set out to be the team's motivational leader, nor did she impose herself as such. Her leadership was organic, woven into the fabric of her personality and the way she interacted with those around her. Hall's revelations about Clark gave fans and analysts alike a deeper understanding of what Caitlin brought to the Fever. She wasn't just a young star with a mean three-point shot. She was a transformative presence, a catalyst for growth and resilience within the team. Her influence, as Hall painted it, was a blend of charisma, dedication, and an almost mischievous sense of humor that made her a beloved figure among her teammates. Whether it was by lifting spirits with her jokes, inspiring others with her work ethic, or simply being unapologetically herself, Caitlin Clark had changed the Fever in ways that went beyond wins and losses. So when Lexie Hall shared these explosive details, it wasn't about any scandal or drama. It was a celebration of a player whose influence couldn't be measured by statistics alone. Through Hall's perspective, Caitlin Clark emerged not just as a player but as a personality, someone who understood the importance of the journey and who, with every three-pointer, every laugh, and every shared look, was helping her team write a story worth remembering. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.